Hi there, welcome back to the Prolific Author Podcast. Today we are going to talk about why you should always shortcut your way to author success. We're going to talk about what that means and how you can do it and why it's important. So come join me on the podcast today and we will deep dive into this.
Welcome to the Prolific Author Podcast. Let's face it, readers read fiction to feel emotion and be transported and transformed. In this ongoing digital revolution, where online marketing is always in flux, the only way to create a sustainable author business and live off your royalties is to write transformational stories, market at every stage of the author journey, and cultivate a loyal audience of readers. Fortunately, there's never been more opportunity to make a living as a fiction author. Hi, I'm Liesl Hill, USA Today bestselling author and story clarity coach. When I'm not dictating my own stories about dragons, serial killers, and dystopian worlds, I help other authors write their own transformational fiction, position them as bestsellers, and market them like pros. Join me on the podcast where I give writing tips, marketing how-tos, story advice, and interviews with other authors who are in the trenches just like you and making it work. We are prolific authors.
Okay, so for the personal update, I don't have a whole lot more to report today, except that the workshop is drawing closer and I'm super excited for it. I'm getting all geared up for it. So if you have not yet, you can join the workshop. It is called How to Build Your Fiction Empire Quickly Without Guessing, Wasting Money, or Taking Years. And you can sign up for that at bit.ly/fiction empire. Okay, that's bit.ly/fiction empire. And that link will also be in the show notes if you want to join us. The workshop will be held February 7th through 11th, so it's a couple weeks away. Okay, so here's what I'm going to say to you today. Not paying to shortcut your way to author success is probably the worst thing you could do for your author business. Now, let me say that again because it's kind of a strangely worded statement. Not paying to shortcut your way to author success is the worst thing you could do for your author business, okay? In other words, you should be paying to shortcut your way to author success. Now, let me explain what I mean by this. I completely understand not wanting to pay to shortcut your way to success. I did that for years. I just didn't have a whole lot of money. I was kind of in the starving artist mentality. I did my best to buy, the less expensive books, like $4 or $5 books on Amazon that taught you the basics of ads and things like that, and just figured out, I could do it myself. I mean, let's face it, we authors are the ultimate DIYers, right? We are the kind of people that like to be given an assignment and then just go do it. I'm somebody who doesn't like to be micromanaged. I don't like someone looking over my shoulder. I like to figure it out on my own. And that's all well and good. There's nothing wrong with that. It's just a personality type, but it can really curtail our efforts at selling our books because we don't know what we're doing, okay? That's the biggest problem. I kept telling myself that once I got some success, once I had some money, then I'd pay to shortcut my way to more success. Does anyone see a problem with that? Because there are some, I promise. Well, there are a few problems with that. The biggest thing is that it's a mindset shift, okay? If I am not willing to shortcut my way to success right now, once I have a little bit of success and get a little bit of money, sell a few books, why would I be willing to do it then? I'm probably going to be like, oh, well, I did it on my own the first time. I will continue doing it on my own, right? So you have to change the mindset. And you might say, well, yeah, but you did get some success. You're right, I did, but I promise you there's always a higher level of success. So the problem is that you are actually limiting yourself in how many books you can sell, how many readers you can reach, how much success you can have by deciding to do it on your own, okay? I promise there is always someone at a higher level than you that can teach you these things, but they're really busy too working on their book success. So you shouldn't expect them to do it for free. They ought to be paid for their knowledge because they've already gone through a lot of hard times and testing and experimenting. And if you want that knowledge, you ought to be willing to compensate them for it, okay? But what that compensation does is it allows you to jump to their level, okay? So think about it this way. Imagine that you are on a map. You are a little tiny person walking around on a map, and there's kind of this long, jagged path that will lead you to success, and you're moving along it about the pace of an ant, okay? You might get there eventually, but it's going to take a long time. It's going to take a lot of toil. it's not going to be a very fun journey. If you can shortcut your way to success, meaning you can piggyback on what someone else has already figured out, you can jump leaps and bounds across that map, and you're going to get there so much faster. And once there, you can jump again because you'll go up to the next level of success, okay? This not only helps you reach success faster, but it will actually make you more successful in the long run, okay? I'm not going to get too much into the law of attraction here, although it is something that I believe in very, very strongly. So I can also promise you that if you are willing to pay for something, that sends out the message to the universe that you have a lot of money and more money will come back to you, okay? So, and guys, you got to realize this is not woo-woo anymore. The law of attraction and manifesting, it was considered woo-woo 10, 15, 20 years ago, but they have actual particle science to back it up now that it is a thing, okay? They can measure it now. So if you are putting money out into the universe, you will actually get more money that way coming back to you, and chances are, because you're an author, it will be through book sales, okay? So the next reason, I guess is what I'm trying to say, is the next reason to shortcut your way to success by paying someone who is ahead of you is that will actually increase your book sales, okay? It's an indirect increase. It's not like something you can measure and scale and be really purposeful about, but I promise you it works, okay? I've seen it in action. The next thing that you need to be aware of is that probably the biggest problem with authors who are struggling right now is confidence. Confidence is what allows you to move forward. It is what allows you to be able to test and experiment with things. Confidence is the opposite of fear. So when you sit down to do something and then you go, oh, I can't do this right now, and you make up some excuse for it, it's always fear that is keeping you from doing it, even if you don't admit it to yourself, even if you don't realize it. So if you want to write your story, but you get frustrated because you're afraid the plot's just not very good or the characters just aren't very well hashed out, that's fear that they're not going to be good enough, right? You don't have the confidence to move forward. If you really want to learn, say, Amazon ads, but you're just worried that, once you hit publish on that ad, you're going to lose money and it's not going to work and people aren't going to buy your book, that's fear, right? You don't have the confidence to move forward. Confidence is really what every author problem boils down to, is a lack of confidence. Well, most of you probably don't sit around thinking of your lack of confidence as your problem as an author. You're not sitting around going, oh yeah, I lack confidence in my writing. I need to fix that. No, you don't frame it that way. You frame it in terms of, I need more writing craft, or I need to learn how to do ads, or something like that. Okay, but I promise it all boils down to your confidence. So what does confidence have to do with paying your way to shortcut your way to success? Well, one of the best ways to obtain confidence in what you do is to watch other people who have had results already, okay? So it's something as simple as saying, hey, that author did this, and look at the results they got. I could totally do that. And then you do it, right? It puts you in a mindset of confidence to have someone who has already obtained results give you their strategy. From there, you start to see small wins. Maybe it'll just be small at first. It's, you start one ad and go, oh, look at that. I had 3 people click on my book. This kind of works. And then you have the confidence to go forth and do more, okay? So maybe all of that seems pretty obvious, but it's more powerful than you think it is, okay? If at any time during the day you find yourself not wanting to write because you don't have the confidence, not wanting to sit down and flesh out your story because you're afraid you won't be able to, that you're going to hit a wall, not wanting to do ads because you're afraid they won't yield dividends, not wanting to sit down and write your manuscript because you're afraid you're not going to know what to write, or you're going to write something that isn't going to end up working and it'll end up being a waste of time because you'll have to cut all of that. If you've ever had anything like these problems, you have a confidence problem, okay? If you can fix that confidence problem, you will not have a problem with your author business anymore. You will be willing to move forward. You can get past your fear. And one of the best ways, once again, to build that confidence is to learn from someone who has already gone through it and who has already been in the thick of it and gotten results that were positive, that are the same results that you want to have, okay? Because let's just dive into this a little bit more deeply. Why does this happen? Why do we pull back? So let's use that same example. You are having a hard time sitting down to write your story because you're not sure exactly what to write, and you're afraid that the characters are not well fleshed out, or the plot is becoming kind of trite, and you just don't think it's good enough, okay? Well, you can say, yeah, but I do want to write. It is important to me. I do want to finish my book. I logically know that, but still, when you sit down, you pull back. Why? Why does that happen? Of course, the most obvious answer is fear, but it's also sort of a lack of doing the things that will give you the best results that you want. And this is something that, you know, if you've done this before, don't beat yourself up. Everybody does this. I've done it. Every human on the planet does it, right? We pull back when we're unsure. But the secret here, and this actually in a lot of ways goes back to what I talked about last week about the muse not showing up until you get started. The secret here is that you need to align your actions with the results you want, okay? So I'm not even just talking about finishing your latest manuscript, okay? I'm talking about, who do you want to be as an author? If you want to be a career author that's very prolific and has put out a lot of books and is making their living off their writing, what does that look like? You know, stop for a minute and think about it. What kind of actions does that author take? I promise you they're writing every day. I promise you they're writing consistently. I promise you they have an ad strategy in place. I promise you they know how long or about how long it's going to take to finish one of their books. They already have things planned out. They already have how many books they're going to write this year and what they're going to be planned out. They have systems and processes in place so that they can get things done efficiently, quickly, if at all possible. And so that if something happens, like a, family emergency or something like that, they can step away from their work and their sales are not going to tank, okay? All of these things are things that a career author would do. So instead of saying and focusing on, I don't know if this is going to be good enough, so therefore I don't want to sit down and write, focus on, what would a career author do? They would sit down and they would get it done. It doesn't matter if it's good enough. It doesn't matter if they're worried about it. You can fix it in the editing phase if you need to, and you should. But think about what a career author would do and align your actions with that career author. If you do that first, the results will follow. You can't wait for the results to come and then decide to be a career author. It doesn't work that way. Okay, so you have to align your actions with the results that you want. But we're going to take it a step further, because aligning your actions is exactly what's hard, right? It's hard to sit down and write when you don't have the confidence to write. So here's the real secret. You have to align your thoughts with the result you want, okay? Which means that you have to be very mindful of the negative thoughts that you are thinking about your author business. Every time you sit down to write or sit down to market or any task that you're going to do in your author business, be very aware, self-aware of the thoughts that you are having. If you have the thought, I'm just not going to be able to get this done, you have to actively stop and analyze that thought and say, okay, is that what a career author would think? No. And you need to replace it with a different thought. Now, this takes practice. It's going to take, I don't know, I don't think it takes that long. If you practice it for 4 or 5 days, you'll be golden. You can actually create new neural pathways in your brain really quickly, okay? So it's not like you're gonna have to do this for months and months and months on end, no. If you start doing it very intensively and catch your thoughts, within a few days, you won't have any problem sitting down to write. Even if you're not feeling like the muse is around and like you're in your best, frame of mind to write, you still won't have a problem with it, because you have trained your thoughts to be positive and just said, you know what, I'm going to be a career author, I need to sit down and write. A career author would write whether they feel like it or not. Even if they don't know where the character's going, or they're not entirely sure how to get the scene out, they would sit down and they would start writing and they would figure it out. And then you'll just do it. So you have to align your thoughts with the result you want. Okay, so let's recap. Why should we always be willing to pay to shortcut your way to author success? Okay. 1, you want to shift your mindset into one of success and prosperity so that you can have more success and more money flowing to you. You want to gain confidence, and one of the best ways to do this is by learning from someone who has already been in the thick of it, already fought all the battles, and knows how to get you there quickly, shortcutting you there rather than making you go through all the same things they've already been through. 3, receiving coaching or training from these kinds of people, authors that are just ahead of you a little bit in the game, shows you how to align your actions with results, and in order to do that, how to align your thoughts with the results that you want, okay? That will be a game changer in your author business. I promise you. As soon as you learn to do that, you will be amazed how overnight things change and you start seeing small wins. And then the small wins, of course, add up and give you more confidence to move forward and have even bigger wins. And pretty soon, you're a working and successful author. Isn't that what we're all striving for here in 2022? So I just want you to keep these things in mind. And let me ask you one more question. Do you want to keep hemming and hawing and guessing and hoping that you will get where you need to in 2022, that you will sell enough books, that you will start to see some traction in your writing? Or do you want to shortcut your way to author success and be a successful author before the end of the year? I honestly think that no matter where you're at, you can be a pretty successful author inside of 90 days. Of course, that's always easier if you already have a few books published, but I'm telling you, anyone can make massive strides in 90 days if they put their mind to it. And of course, if they have the right systems and processes in place, they have someone to guide them who's done it before. So this is just something I want you to think about as we progress into the new year. And don't forget that I'm teaching my workshop February 7th through 11th. Once again, it's called How to Build Your Fiction Empire Quickly Without Guessing, Wasting Money, or Taking Years. And if you want to register for that workshop, go to bit.ly/fiction empire. Okay? That is what I have for you today. I hope you will all join me in the workshop in a couple of weeks. Thank you so much for hanging out with me today. I hope you found some value in what I had to say. Now you can go forth and write those amazing and brilliant stories that you're working on. And remember, there is always a market for awesome. See you next week. Me again. Before you go, if you found value in this episode, I would love it if you could leave me a review. Reviews are the best way to show your appreciation and help others find this podcast. Be sure to screenshot it, share it on your favorite social media network, and tag me at LK Hill Books. Remember, the world needs your stories. Only you can change someone's heart with your fire-breathing dragons, your mind-blowing mysteries, your epic romances, and your intense thrillers. So join the revolution and be a prolific author.